good, listeners? Welcome to the Chris Collins Show live via Zoom. We're on YouTube. How's it going, Marissa?
It is going absolutely wonderful today.
Yes, it is. It's actually feeling good outside. It's been so darn hot this whole week. So, we're feeling good out here in SoCal, but I hope everyone else is doing good, especially with all the unrest that's been happening across the nation and even the entire world. So hopefully everybody's kind of taking it easy this weekend. But we got a great show for everybody today because our guest that's going to be joining us for the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, is data scientist Alexander Titus. And also our Strike a Chord artist that's going to be coming with us is Mandi Macias. So we're beyond stoked for her to return back onto the show. And check out our new YouTube episode drop featuring former Miss Nevada, Katie Williams, and Austin, Texas punk rockers, The Blowies. All right, Marissa, it's time to rock and roll. All right, this is hashtag TLDR. Too long, don't read. We did all the reading for you, so you didn't have to do it. In the coming weeks, more than 2 million high school seniors who had their sights set on college for the fall will navigate a decision no graduating class has ever had to consider. In an article from NBC titled, Class of 2020, College Can Wait. It's Time to Take a Gap Year by Abby Fallick. Universities across the nation are considering a range of contingency plans to combat the coronavirus as campuses transition to online courses for the new school year. And as I stated last week, for college students studying at home amid COVID-19, like me, college just isn't what it used to be. However, it costs just the same, as on-campus experiences are being replaced with online courses. It's complete bullshit. Let's be real. It's complete bullshit for universities to charge students full tuition without the full experience. I mean, why should families pay full price for a full semester that might be cut short again? Like literally again. So studies conducted by the Gap Year Association show that among students who defer their college admission to a gap year have a 90% return rate within a year. Also, students that take a gap year are more likely than their peers to graduate on time and with better grades. So Marissa, should high school seniors take a gap year?
That's kind of a two-part question for me. Yes, take a gap year if you are not have a scholarship into that four-year university, that you don't have a ride or other type of financial assistance. Because if you do, please don't throw that away and go hang tight, learn things online. But if not, either look at community college, because those first 2 years is all about your undergrad classes anyway. It's easier in community college. It's cheaper in community college. Or go travel the world once COVID is over.
Yeah, it's a little hard right now. I think the real question is, should they take a gap year amongst this pandemic? And I think it's for high school seniors, I think you can survive going to freshman year in college and taking that first online course, but just be careful. But if you're a graduate student who got accepted, it's a little bit more difficult.
No.
But all I could say is Cal State Fullerton, Stanford, and Boston University have openly discussed the possibility of canceling in-person classes until 2021.
My heart is heavy these last few weeks with the senseless murder of George Floyd. This last week, I have seen many friends and family cry out and condemn police brutality and the injustices that Black people face in our society. However, amongst the solidarity, I have witnessed an influx on social media of virtual signaling. In an article from the Washington Post titled, "White People Are Speaking Up at Protests, How Do We Know They Mean What They Say?" by Stacey Patton. She states, "Are white people protesting because they are in honest solidarity or because it helps to soothe their own conscience or assuage their guilt?" For many white millennials, it may feel as though we are damned if we do and damned if we don't, but that is not the case. Patton states further, This movement has got to be rooted in a commitment to stop anti-Black violence, not just providing individual white people who are not racist. Here is how you can stay off the growing number of virtual signaling lists that white people are making to call out your inactivity on social media platforms. Ask yourself, when was the last time you called your Black friend to shoot the shit with? Was it in the last week because you were being told by Facebook to check in on your Black friends? Huh? You don't have to become a performative ally. And yes, posting random links and lists of anti-racist books that you have never read also falls under that category. Chris, where are you at with all this virtual signaling?
I think you just touched right on it. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing from my white friends that I like to call white on white crime, because it's like it doesn't serve the purpose of what Black Lives Matter is really trying to do. And when you start sharing all these like books like, hey, here are these 12 books on anti-racism that you should read. One question I would say is, have you even read any of the 12 books? And then two, I would say is, that's like trying to tell, a Black Lives Matter person to read Mein Kampf from Adolf Hitler. Like literally, like no one who is a racist is going to read an anti-racist book. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen. And right now, we just need to listen and have a conversation in our nation today.
Yes, and I think you kind of hit it on the point. Real change can come about when we have open dialogue, human interaction, and keep these conversations coming. Change comes when you expand your immediate circle of friends and making sure that they are a reflection of who you want to be.
The International Nursing Federation reported on Wednesday that more than 6.4 million cases of COVID-19 has been confirmed, including at least 381,000 deaths. In an article from the Washington Post titled, "Coronavirus has affected at least 450,000 healthcare workers worldwide," report says, by a team of 8 writers. And I know what you guys are all thinking. It sounds like the brunt of like a baby boomer joke. How many does it take for a millennial to write an article? 8. But this is real. This is real. Because this Wednesday, in a phone interview with CNN, Dr. Anthony Fauci advocates for schools to reopen in the fall because literally, quote, children tend to have milder symptoms or even no symptoms when they are infected with COVID-19. Well, last month, Dr. Anthony Fauci had a very completely different tone when it came to reopening up schools, arguing with Senator Rand Paul at the Senate committee hearing in May.
I think the one size fits all that we're going to have a national strategy and nobody's going to go to school is kind of ridiculous. We really ought to be doing it school district by school district. And as much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision.
I have never made myself out to be the end all and only voice in this. I'm a scientist, a physician, and a public health official. I give advice according to the best scientific evidence.
Okay, Dr. Fauci. Now that I've heard what your thoughts were from last May and now what you're thinking in June, I still don't understand why Fauci now advocates for opening schools early based on, quote, best scientific evidence that children are affected less than adults. I mean, it makes no sense because does he not realize that teachers, professors, custodians, administration, they're all adults? So like, Marissa, when will the government and health experts get their act together and give it to us straight? I want a unified voice. So how do you feel about all this right now, Marissa?
Well, I think that comes back to what I love, a unified voice. Yes, this is one of the first times we're trying to deal with a global pandemic. It's not following some of the rules. It keeps changing. You're trying to save people, yet save the economy. I mean, what goes back and forth? I know some people want to get their kids back in school simply to get rid of them.
Well, you know what's really alarming to me too? I did read this morning that Mayor de Blasio in New York, through the New York Daily News, basically said on Wednesday they confirmed 0 coronavirus cases with possibly 3 probable of the COVID-19 symptoms. When have we ever started talking like this? I mean, we're in the middle of a protest. You don't think anybody's being affected right now? That's what's really scary in these times, and we need solidified information and the best scientific evidence to support everybody's actions moving forward in this country. But Dr. Anthony Fauci literally told CNN that the US should have a couple 100 million doses of a COVID-19 vaccine by the start of 2021. All right, we're starting to transition right on over into Just Talking, where our guest is Alexander Titus. He's the technology executive. He's a millennial and the chief strategy officer at the Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute, which is known as ARMY. And he was previously the first head of the biotechnology modernization at the Department of Defense. Wow, that is such a tongue twister right there. How's it going, my friend?
Oh, it's good to be here, man. Yeah, it's quite a mouthful. I can imagine.
It really is. And my first thing I got to ask you is, what does a data scientist even do? Yeah, you work at Weight Watchers on your side. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
what does a data scientist do?
So, I mean, really, you could take it to Weight Watchers, things like that. So there's all kinds of stuff. So how does Weight Watchers decide how to make recommendations for their programs? They look at how the data of all of their members are doing and then see which of their recommendations are helping their members lose more weight and use that to inform the next recommendations. So that's what a data scientist is. You collect a bunch of data, or you get someone else to do it, and you try to find interesting shit in it.
Well, let me ask you this, because would my skills apply back from my MySpace era? Because I used to be a pretty good coder back then. Would my MySpace skills be able to qualify myself to be a data scientist?
So, and really there's the coders, which is, computer scientists, the hackers. Data scientists are really more statisticians, kind of the old school statisticians turn new school, kind of the millennial version of stats is data science.
Okay, real quickly though. All right. Is it data or data?
Yeah. Ooh,
that's a good point, Marissa.
Which one is it?
I'm on the data side, but
yeah, who said
West Coast?
data?
Is that like a West Coast, East Coast thing? Because I'm data, right? You're data.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
See, how is it that we have data scientists who operate Google and Google still can't figure out how to say data or data scientist, and we still don't even know how to say Jeff Bezos' last name? What is going on? How can we trust technology in these times?
Oh, man. Yep. That's good. I actually used to work at Amazon too, so I'll get into that.
Oh, that's wild. So if you did work at Amazon, as an employee, what were you told to call him by his last name?
No one ever said, yo, just talk. They just said, hey, talk to Jeff. Give him a call.
It wasn't like Almighty.
I think that's the safe word of saying, don't even try to attempt.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, sure. You can call him Jeff, whatever. You could try.
It's not Jeff, the almighty God of your packages.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. The one-way system that we all love, that us millennials are so heavily invested on. But I mean, I know at one point in time, you were working at the Pentagon before the whole coronavirus started to unravel. Was there anything that the Pentagon was telling you before this kind of outbreak was starting to come into effect?
I mean, the government's always monitoring and trying to figure out what's the best way to intervene or not intervene. So we had lots of conversations because I'm also in the biology space. So lots of my colleagues are using that data skills to look at all the epidemiology and all the cases and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there was lots of talk, but it's as Marissa said, it's hard to predict what's going on. And so it was a lot of sit and wait.
Well, if you had a lot of talks about it, were you guys informed about any kind of outbreak happening, let's say before the Wuhan break happened?
I wasn't in particular, but someone might have.
Did you have a weird sense in the building? I mean, I'm sure there's got to be like something that creeps in the whole Pentagon that when one department feels a little unease, everybody starts to feel unease. Did you start to get that kind of feeling? Be real, come on. I mean,
you could, but unfortunately, there's a lot of unease from a lot of angles, so you couldn't tell if it was COVID or something else. It's just a weird place to work.
So the Pentagon is not an easy place to work at, and I know you've advocated, for more millennials to actually start to step up and join, these public services. And why is that?
I mean, we're now, the millennial age is now the generation that is in that age of being leaders. And so as technology's changing, and Marissa is an actor and can't use technology worth a damn, but most of us can.
You're already getting called out already. He's less than 5 minutes in and you're already getting slammed.
Saw last week's show.
yeah, right. We're doing
Pentagon. I'm gonna just say the Pentagon tried to stop us. Okay, that's the main reason. Yeah. Because that's the sad part, right? You're watching the news, you're watching the media constantly. They're always trying to talk for us as if we're a piece of recycled news, and we never have our forefront. So I think it's so crazy, and especially when I hear that you're advocating for people to leave a Pentagon job. I was kind of alarmed at first because I said, wow, that feels like one of the best final stages. Like you don't want to leave there, like once you get there.
It was awesome, but it just, what I'm always trying to do is say, public service is huge. We need more people with new ideas that are part of the new world, right? Not just technology. Social norms change. We need to make sure that we are always improving. The current climate right now is showing that we seriously need to make some change.
And I always wanted to ask this from somebody who's worked at the Pentagon. Have you ever been in the section of the building where we actually got hit during 9/11? Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
Well, how does it feel for the first time walking in that area? I really don't know. I'm always speechless thinking about it.
It's crazy, scary, humbling. There's actually a plaque and a monument there to commemorate everything that was going on. I think one of the things that the Pentagon really teaches you is just the scope of kind of how humble you feel relative to how big global problems can be, and how when you the Pentagon has 25,000 people in it working in it every day. So any one person, aside from maybe the Secretary of Defense themselves, doesn't have a huge impact. But when you put 25,000 people plus everyone else who works around that together, then you actually start to have an impact.
Okay, real quickly, to put to rest a lot of conspiracy theories that the Pentagon didn't get hit. Could you see new construction done on the walls, or did it look exactly the same?
It looks exactly the same. They're good.
Wow.
Conspiracy theories
I know,
Alexander!
but I believe it.
Yeah, right.
But the room with the aliens is really cool.
Oh, say that again. We lost you a little bit.
I said the room with the aliens is really cool.
Oh, now you just really sparked a bubble with Marissa Pitts. I had no idea that the Pentagon, we've been looking in the wrong state this whole time.
The Pentagon has the aliens. Of course they do. Have you not seen Men in Black? Men in Black specifically has it. So in the Pentagon, there's the aliens.
Well, I think this is a great transition to my next question, because if I'm reading this correctly, you were the first head of biotechnology modernization at the Department of Defense. What does that even mean?
Yeah, that people ask that all the time. Really, what it means is that the Pentagon recognizes, the DoD recognizes that they need to upgrade their thinking when it comes to tech, and so that's what make it modern means, modernization. And so I was responsible for understanding all the things that were going on and recommending how we were supposed to go. And actually, one of the cool things was, of course, as a millennial, I was quite a bit younger than a lot of my peers. And when I was having the conversation about, why do you want me to do this? Someone said, because the technology you're looking into didn't exist when most of these people trained. Right? Most of these people trained in the Cold War, and biotech wasn't as big of a thing back then. So they
had a floppy disk with 3 megabytes on it, and they say, "Hey, go transfer this document to the next computer."
And for listeners who might not know what biotech is, what is that?
Biotech is using biology to do cool stuff. So a great example that I've always given to people is, so there's a company that's actually using biotech, so microbes, like the same thing you'd have in yeast or bacteria or something, and using it to grow bricks. So you can actually create these bricks, which are normal bricks, but you can grow them and build with them. And one of the things that the DoD is trying to do is build growable runways. So you spray this material down and it actually grows the concrete. It's pretty dope.
I remember 2 months ago, I say, everybody calm down. It's just the coronavirus. We're not living in Westworld. Well, I retract everything I say, now that I'm hearing this. What is going on?
2020 is definitely the beginning of Westworld. Let me tell you.
It's starting to seem like
happening me, it's all downhill.
Yeah, because I do you guys start to create like creative tissue, like human skin, or is it more of just like on the mechanical building stage? Is that really where they see it going? Because I guess when I was thinking about Department of Defense, I kind of thought like when someone gets shot in war, they were gonna have some crazy thing. I don't know. This is just my imagination
So, that's
flying.
the thing that's crazy about it. It's everything. So right now where I work, Army, the Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute, we're focused on making the manufacturing of tissues and organs a reality.
Wow.
Right? If you think about how many people every year die because they need an organ transplant and they can't, well, the DoD, so the DoD is a big funder of this, has so many warfighters that get injured. You seriously wounded and you need to replace something, whether anything from a torn ACL to whole organs. So that's really the vision.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
pretty
so
cool.
exciting. That is so exciting to hear.
It's crazy.
And I mean, I'm sure scientists, they always got to have a reach end, right? And when do you guys think that we can make this kind of thing happen? At least in our nation. I mean, is there like a time frame that you guys are trying to hit?
So everything depends on what type of organ you're looking for. So some organs like kidneys are really complex, but other things like skin and ligaments are much less complex. So we're already having the ability to produce ligaments and skin replacements. So the challenge right now is doing it enough so you could help a lot more people. So you can do anything at a really small scale, but doing it large scale is the hard part.
So we're in the very early stages, I guess what you're trying to say. Very early.
It's been around for a while, but it's right now just starting to take off.
Wow.
Nice. So
That's
exciting.
insane. I'm getting beyond stoked for the future now, as much as 2020 is looking like a shit show. That gets me stoked.
Alexander, will you design some biotech wings for me? I always want to fly.
We could probably come up with some normal tech wings first, and then we'll try that.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll get the bio in there. Yeah, we can do that.
Versus like, I don't know if I support this anymore.
I want bio fairy wings. I want to fly.
I'm thinking more like dragon wings, but fairy wings work too.
Well, we got to get into this because you wrote an article in The Hill that started a firestorm. I mean, and it really was just advocating for millennials to leave their Silicon Valley jobs for public service. And I really want to give you that forum to speak on that, because why? I mean, why should someone want to leave such a luxury job at Silicon Valley here in my state of California, get all those pretty luxuries? Why should the millennials settle for something else?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. That's what everyone asks. So to be fair, I used to be one of those Silicon Valley jobs and made the transition. And so that's why I'm related to it. And the challenge is we see it also right now. There's a huge amount of unrest because millennials are recognizing that the situation is not the way we want it to be. And so instead of sitting there, and so I even titled it, Stop Throwing Rocks at the Castle. Instead of sitting in your really comfy job and tweeting about how you guys just had this conversation about sharing things online, tweeting about it. But if that's all you ever do, then that's not really making a difference. It's reaching out to that colleague if we're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and actually making a difference with your friends. Or if you want the government to change in some way, right? If you don't like how the government's operating, it's a lot harder to just sit there and complain than it is to go make a difference.
Yeah. I always tell people, and that comes down to voting. It is our constitutional right. People have died from it. A lot of Black people have died to get their right to vote. And if you have a change, go use your voice, go vote. Otherwise, I don't want to see the complaints on Facebook. And you know what I mean? If you don't like it, understandable. Let's make a change. Let's use what our tools we have at hand. Yes, 100%. But what I was also trying to say is voting is one route that we talk about, but the vast majority, I'm making this number up, but I would say 90+% of people in the government, of whether you're at the city government or state government or federal government, are not elected. So you can do that change, but you can also go take one of those jobs for a period of time and actually affect change yourself, not just our elected officials, because yes, they sway some things, but they don't sway everything. And in reality, it's the people who work in the government who are going to do the day-to-day and help make those decisions. We need a lot more of them. Or not more of them, but we need now to change of the guard, if you will. And as millennials get to the age where real leadership positions are available to us, we have to do that. And then that's how you affect change. You vote for the leaders on the Hill, and then the top dogs in other spots.
But then all of the people like in the executive branch of the government, they're not elected officials. So
That's
we
a
want to
trip.
impact
I
there.
totally forgot all about that. Honestly, I
Yeah.
get so focused on the voting and who I'm seeing as a public figure versus just the everyday 9-to-5er who
Yeah.
is actually making these changes.
Yeah.
And
Going
we're there a
out
lot longer usually. Aside from people in Congress, the elected official, the president's only there for 8 years at most. All of their appointees are only there for the odd amount of time. But you have people in government who are there for their careers. So over the course of a 30-year career, you could make a huge change, or you could go for a stint. Not everyone wants to leave, the private sector or academia or whatever. Go for a couple years and just understand what it takes, because
Well,
then it's also
Marissa,
easier to recommend.
Well, I want to play you a soundbite that we have here. This was actually from the University of California president speaking up, the CSU chancellor here at our state, and the California community chancellor, all disagreeing with millennials about advocating for a gap year coming up into the fall semester. So let's play the soundbite.
Our students have to ask themselves, well, what's the gap year for? And I would highly recommend that students stay enrolled and keep making progress toward their degrees.
Going into the virtual space for a semester or two is a small alteration, adaptation that's necessary to deal with this global pandemic.
To stay enrolled, to seek enrollment, and to have that opportunity to, really be in a position to do well in whatever economy transpires after this crisis is over.
See, I've always been kind of, I don't really know how to feel about this kind of situation, because I've always told even my parents on a level, like, if I never finished undergrad and I didn't go to graduate school right away, I feel like I would have never gone back to school. And actually, you told me something pretty interesting over the weekend that I had no idea, that you actually did a gap year. How long was it for?
So I took 2 separate 1-year periods off.
Wow.
2 different gap years, both after college, before grad school.
And you got a PhD, right?
I did after both.
Let's remind all the listeners of that. That's insane, right?
So I had that same concern when I was an undergrad, and I asked my advisor, one of the wisest people I've ever met. I said, if I don't go to grad school right now, I never will. And she said, good, then you never should have.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Sorry.
That seems kind of a little blunt, though. I mean, gosh.
But people go to grad school because they don't know what else to do. But in reality, the people, so similar to you're thinking that 90% of people who, all those quotes, stats.
Yeah, the Gap Year Association.
The people are more successful, or a higher percentage of people are successful when they go back because they wanted to. So by taking a gap year after high school, the people who probably would never have done, enjoyed college, and there's plenty of other routes that are not just college. We push college as the only education route, but there's so many. We have a huge need for electricians and plumbers and iron workers and the trades, which are very high paying, very high skilled jobs that we don't value as much. And so when people have a time to think, then they realize they can figure out exactly what they want. And so that's what her point was. If you then have a burning desire to go back, that's why you should go to grad school, or or any other type of school, because otherwise you're just you may just be going through the motions, which it doesn't do anyone any service.
Yep, I have to agree with you. I took 7 years in community college, taking every class under the sun, because I had no idea what I wanted to do. After that, jumped into my 4-year for the 2 years, knocked it out from an actor I knew, and then I went and professionally acted. I didn't jump into grad school right away. I was like, you know what? First off, I'm done with school. Let me do that. And then I wanted to relearn my passion again.
Yeah.
And my experience is totally different than a lot of other of my grad students. My grad colleagues and cohorts, because they came in straight from a 4-year, afraid if they never did it, they wouldn't. Everybody's path is different.
Well,
right?
I think the best way to view gap year, especially since how I'm hearing from both of you that have done gap years, it's like, Michael Jordan, for example, right? I mean, he took a gap year to focus on himself from the tragedy of his father's death, and he wanted to experience playing for the Chicago White Sox. He came back and won a 3-peat. So if Michael Jordan can do it, and Alexander Titus and Marissa Pitts can do it, you can too.
I think the biggest thing is there's 2 things. One, there's no rules to how you have to do it. You should decide how you do it based on your life situation. But 2, when those recommendations for those chancellors and stuff, you got to think of where recommendations come from. Their schools are hurting for revenue from tuition, So they have every incentive to get those students to come back. So just like you guys and your readers, right? Or your listeners, you have every incentive to get people to listen to you again and say, oh, that radio show sucks. They won't do your TLDR. We'll do it for you. Come on, we'll make your life easy. Right? We'll have interesting people to talk to.
And it's true because I lost both of my adjunct teaching jobs at universities for fall simply because there is not going to be enrollment.
Yeah. So yes, people, if school's the right route, then you should go to school. But if you have another option, which one option might be, living with, this is the best time for it to live with your parents, right? It's okay right now to live with your parents. No one's going to think you're a loser. There's a global pandemic.
I've been saying that for so long. Where do you think this is all at? I mean, luckily I've been able to go to undergrad and grad school from the support of Sally and Kevin Collins. They are the best parents in the world. And I literally wouldn't be in this position today to have the Chris Collins Show Millennial Talk Show without, not, if I wasn't living at my parents' house, this honestly probably wouldn't have gone into effect.
If anything, if all this time has shown us is we have to reevaluate what we consider the rules. There's the norms of social engagement where we have kind of systemic racism. There's the norms of how people are supposed to progress through life. There's the norms of everything around, and all of it needs to be reevaluated and make sure that they still apply.
Yeah, and what about the norm of just idolizing the select few in office? Like I know millennials are constantly just focused on the few, and that's one thing you did touch upon on your Hill article. And were you talking about people like the Squad or Greta Thunberg or Ocasio-Cortez? Is that who you're referring to? Because that's immediately who I thought.
It's exactly. And I think that you should have mentors or heroes that are your elected officials, that we should look up to our elected officials, but that's not enough, right? Because the elected officials are only as good as what's their incentive to stay in office. So we have, that's why I was saying, take action, go join your local city works or state works or federal government for a little bit of time and understand what it takes to actually make change in government, because it's not all from the top.
Have you taken the time to check out Steve Carell's new Space Force?
I have.
Did you not notice that reference of Ocasio-Cortez in clear daylight, making fun of millennials, saying I thought that was the perfect representation. I easily thought about your article all over again when I saw this and
I
going,
also
this
love
is the
that
problem.
show. And it's a little painful to watch for me because it's like watching Silicon Valley if you're from Silicon Valley, because it's so real. Like those meetings, so, like, of course it's a hyperbole and it's over exaggerated, but like the same kind of crap, you got to deal with that. Yeah, it's pretty. You'd be surprised about how close it can get to reality.
If you can name a scene, from Space Force so far that you felt like closely related to your time in, let's say, the Pentagon, what scene would that be?
I think it would be the scene where they're. Spoiler alert, the scene where they're trying to fix the satellite with the monkey and the dog.
No, really? Out of all the episodes, you think the episode 2 is the closest to how the Pentagon talks?
Because it's just like, if we have a problem, we need to try every possible solution. So one, that was being funny, but it's true. Like
that was the funniest episode I've ever seen in my life.
But it's like, we have to solve this problem. We will solve it at all costs.
Wow.
Even if it takes a monkey in a spacesuit.
That's kind of alarming for you to say that, actually, because I get that we want to try all routes, but man, people will literally shout out to the extreme, I guess, what they want to have happen in the Pentagon, I guess. Wow,
yeah, well, insane. But it's a good thing too, because if there is a dire situation, you have to fix it. You got to solve it at all costs.
That's true. Whether it's a monkey or dog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's a monkey or a dog in space. I know. I remember my dad always telling me for the longest time he cried so hard when they sent that monkey up, and he wanted it to come back down. But Alexander Titus, you've been fabulous, my friend. And where can the listeners follow you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Alexander Titus. Join the conversation.
And
follow
also,
him. He has great stuff, outdoor sports. He's a great person. Definitely follow.
well, you got a really cool blog that you just started up called Titus Talk, which I'm a big fan of and I'm a subscriber of. So if any millennials out there that need some of that data scientist or data, sorry, I'm butchering it now. Google's not helping me. I don't got Siri here, but check it out. It's called Titus Talks. And Alexander Titus, thank you so much for joining the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show.
And
Thanks,
if you like
guys.
what you're listening to, please go to thechriscollinsshow.com, become a member, and get a free CCS t-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, and you already know what's good. We're starting to transition right on into Strike a Chord, where we play your favorite music from your favorite artist if you actually physically or digitally pick up that record. And we're excited because we got Mandi Macias with us, joining us right now. How's it going, fam? I know she's starting to
trying to come in.
There she is. How's it going, beautiful? How you doing?
Hello.
Hey,
how's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are fabulous. I'm actually digging this chill weather. And
look at your guys' shirt.
hey, you already know what's up. You already know what's good. We have to promote the hell out of you because you're my favorite girl ever. And I know that you just recently graduated from high school. And that's been and how was that experience like? Because I know that you did something different on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, my mom made a video and you guys put little videos within the larger movie, and I want to say thank you guys so much. It was so sweet.
Oh, of course. It's a huge milestone. It's a huge milestone, my friend.
Yeah. So it was really funny, actually. I thought it was hilarious. So it was like a drive-through graduation, and basically everyone comes in their cars and they like fill a parking lot with like cars. And then we like walked out with our little mask and like gloves on, and like they were playing like the graduation music, and everyone was like exiting their cars and like following in like a line. Everyone was honking, and I was like, it was making me nervous, but it was really funny.
Was it like a car parade? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what it was? Or
we were parked by like name order. And what they did was everyone got out of their car, only the students, with like the masks and like gloves on. And then we like followed in like a 6-inch line, you know, like 6 feet apart. We all like walked in the line, and then they called our name, and we like went to this little awning with a stage. It was super fun.
That's awesome. And I know one of the biggest themes that we've been talking about throughout this whole episode is the consideration that high school seniors are going through right now, stepping into the real world, I guess, you know, going into college. And you're one of those people, Mandi. And are you considering taking a gap year?
So I've done independent studies, so I'm very comfortable with like online classes and like what that curriculum looks like. And I don't really want to take a gap year because I really want to get my degree as fast as I can to like really work on what I want to work on and get into my field of business, which is going to be entertainment marketing and like studying music. So I'm really excited about learning. So I don't know if I want to take a gap year. I kind of just want to dive into it, you know?
Well, how does your high school friends? Because I mean, that's got to be such a rare occasion because you didn't have no prom. You didn't get to have that special luxury. Exactly. And I'm sure even though you were 6 feet apart from all your peers, you know, on Wednesday, it must have been kind of a weird tension outside because obviously there's got to be a lot of disgruntled seniors that are not really sure about what they want to do. And I know that you're feeling confident about yourself, but how did the rest of your peers feel about this? I mean, is that being fluttered around?
It was definitely bittersweet because, you know, you want to take photos with your friends, you want to hug them, but, you know, you have to be like socially conscious and social distance. But I know a lot of my friends are actually just excited to do the online classes because
interesting.
It's general eds. Most of us need to take
That's true.
Ed. And so it's not really the classes that we're interested in. So it's like we get it done online, which is actually, it tends to be easier.
Sometimes. I know when I did high school online, it was the worst.
Mandi, have you seen, are your friends, because I know that you're very comfortable that your Z Gen is really into technology and comfortable. Are your friends thinking about doing the community college route or going into a 4-year?
Yeah, so everyone that I've talked to is community college route. One of my best friends got into UCLA, and she's really bummed because, you know, she's not gonna have that freshman experience. So she's debating, like, do I still go or do I like save my money and go just for my general eds, go to community college.
Save
Save
the money. Save the money. Unless you got a scholarship, someone is paying to have you go to a 4-year. Save your money. Get your classes done at community college. Community college is awesome. The classes are smaller. They are more one-on-one.
Exactly. That's the route I'm going. I'm really excited. So.
Well, we're excited for you. We're going to be continuing to follow your journey because I think college is something really special. And I actually just finished a graduate school literally on Wednesday, same time as you. I passed my thesis defense, and it's a great feeling. And I know Marissa and I were very excited to share one of your brand new tracks, which is You Right Now. So you want to give us a little insight about what that track's all about?
Yeah. So I got a boyfriend.
Oh, okay. You know, we're going to get into that right after the song. Trust me, girl.
It was kind of like when we weren't official yet, but I was like so infatuated with him, and I like came home and I was like, oh, I just want him to be my boyfriend already, you know? So that was kind of what this song was about. It's called You Right Now. And yeah.
Oh, that's adorable. Well, Marissa, let's get it going. Let's start the share screen. And this is Mandi Macias, You Right Now.
I'm feeling electric whenever you're around. Can't hide our connection. I need you here right now. Let them all stare, let them all talk, baby. Let them say we're wrong. But I don't fucking care, 'cause I want you, baby. Let's give them a show. 'Cause all I want is you right now. All I want is you right now. Hey, and I know that this ain't right, and I do it every time. I just get lost in those eyes. You know I need it. Your breathing increases whenever this goes. I make you so nervous. Your morals can't be found. Let them all stare, let them all talk, baby. Let them say we're wrong. But I don't fucking care, 'cause I want you, baby. Let's give them a show. 'Cause all I want is you right now. All I want is you right now. Hey, and I know that this ain't right, and I do it every time. I just get lost in those eyes. You know I need it. 'Cause all I want is you right now. All I want is you. All I want is you. All I want is you now. Hey, and I know that this ain't right, and I do it every time. I just get lost in those eyes. You know I need it.
Oh my gosh, that was You Right Now from Mandi Macias, and I know this ain't right, but where were you trying to go with this, Mandi? I mean, because you last time we interviewed you, you were 16 years old, and now you're a grown adult. You're getting into the real world.
When are you turning 18?
Yeah, I'm turning 18 in November.
Yeah.
Wow, November. Yeah, so you're still that
baby.
youngling. And, you know, and I get, you know, that love is in the air, but, you know, I've always advocated, because I got my first girlfriend ever when I was in college, and it was the worst experience of my life. I'm just going to be real. And I always tell people, you need to focus on your education for 4 years, because, I mean, truthfully, once you start getting into it, I know your boyfriend's probably hating me right now for saying this, but I'm just being real. I mean, it's very tough trying to balance an education, your own career, and then trying to figure out the love life. And, you know, you're still young. So So how are you balancing these bad boys?
Yes. Okay, that's so funny. My boyfriend, he's so sweet. He's my first boyfriend, so it's like, the puppy dog love, but he has his own career. He's not in the music business, but he's really serious about his baseball career. So he's training 24/7. And I feel like our lives really balance each other out because he supports my art and I support his baseball. So when he's training, I'm working in the studio, and we make it work. And when I had my show, he came out and he brought his whole team and all of his friends were cheering. It was just super sweet.
Well, maybe you're going through like a pre-trial run because, with the pandemic, it's making it really hard to see anybody. So if you could survive this long, texting and having a relationship and calling, because I used to always joke about because I used to be in a long distance relationship and I felt like it was like texting a dog. I mean, as sad as that is, it really does feel like that because it's like I really would rather just see you instead of being like trying to virtually, give you some kind of love, far away. So
then you start repeating the same things. Hey, what are you doing?
Right.
Well, an hour later, so what are you doing now?
So how are you guys staying preoccupied? I mean, it's gotta be tough, right?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, he's out training all the time. He's working on hitting, and I'm working on piano and guitar. And I want to learn bass soon, so that might be the next.
Ooh, okay. I know you got to be dying to get on tour, right? Because I know the biggest thing is they keep advocating that concerts might not show up until 2021. And one of the vocalists for a metal band named Attila, the vocalist's name is Chris Bronzak. He actually said that they're talking about an idea in mind about wanting to create a separate piece of identification showing you've been vaccinated. If that was a reality, even though we never had a vaccine just yet, or whatever, I mean, would you be for that? I
love performing, and I think I totally would be down. But I mean, it's kind of unrealistic with everything that's going on. But I mean, if that was a reality, best believe I would be performing.
You would be doing it even with the vac. Wow, yeah, it just seems so crazy because I don't know how they would do it, like a QR code, before you even go in. I mean, at least you got a little bit more guts. I mean, I'd be a little bit more iffy about it because I mean, we still don't even have any kind of doses of anything right now. So
I know. So the thing. I have my grandmother, she's older, and she's definitely higher risk for coronavirus. So it's been kind of hard for, because everyone else in my family isn't high risk. And my brother actually believes he already had it because it was before it was a big break. He got super sick for 2 weeks. He couldn't breathe, but he thought it was just the flu. And
you know what? He should get his antibody test. If you have insurance, you have a doctor, they can order it. It goes through there. It'll find out if you already had it or not. I'm waiting on my results next week to find out for that. So everybody should get an antibody test.
Definitely.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's right. And I know we could be talking about this for days, but we want to leave enough time to be playing one of your brand new tracks that's been blowing up. I believe I had over 75,000 streams on it already. And even you right now had over 125,000. So congrats to you, Mandi. I think that's really exciting. And let's play the new track right now. So this is Mandi Macias. This is Bad Boys.
Situations, yeah, I heard about his bad reputation. Can't stop temptations, so blinded by my plain infatuation. Cause I've been here before, I kinda like it, and I should just move along, but I can't fight it. The way he's turning me on is so exciting, I can't hold back anymore. Bad boys want them bad boys. Shouldn't want them. So bored of those good guys. All I get is just one kiss goodbye. I need something divine. Heavy breathing got me feeling for him all night. Cause I've been here before, I kinda like it, and I should just move along, but I can't fight it. The way he's turning me on is so exciting, I
Yeah, you gotta love it, fam. That was Mandi Macias, and we're starting to run out of time, but I thought you dropped a really beautiful video on your YouTube channel discussing your album cover for Bad Boys, and if you could kind of sum that up real quickly, where they can find your YouTube channel, and just a little brief summary about what the inspiration behind that cover is, because I had totally different things I was thinking about.
Yes. So the cover is actually a real old photo of my grandpa, who I sadly never got to meet, but he lives in this house that I live in. So it's kind of cool. I feel really connected to him because all of the stories, and like he liked music too. And everyone says I'm so much like my grandpa. So
Which one was your grandpa? Which one on the?
I think he's the one on the. He was the
Now we're questioning. He's like, no, I don't see it.
The shorter one or the taller one on the end?
The taller one. He's the one with the little black belt and like,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Nah, I can see a family resemblance. That's who I thought your grandpa was. That's
like,
cool.
like your grandpa. I'm like, do I look like a
No, I think it's a beautiful thing, and Mandi, you got so much potential, and I'm glad to see that you're staying positive during these wild times.
And where can they find you, Mandi?
You guys can find my YouTube. Just look up Mandi Macias, MandiMacias. And also you can find my music on Apple Music, Spotify, all the streaming platforms. Just look up my name and you'll find my music.
Great.
That's right, fam. Rock and roll, and it's super exciting to have you back and returning onto the show. And have a good one, my friend.
Bye. And if you like what you're listening to, please go to thechriscollinshow.com and become a member today.
That's right. So we are starting to transition over into what's good. And, I think the video really tells it itself, because wearing a face mask with George Floyd's image on it, his brother Terrence Floyd gave a powerful speech discussing the protest that's now become worldwide. And here's the full clip because it didn't feel right to cut it short. So Marissa and I, we got the video. We're going to play it in full and just listen to what Terrence Floyd has to say.
I understand y'all upset, but like it was already said, I doubt y'all half as upset as I am.
Come on now. Speak.
So if I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here blowing up stuff,
Come on.
if I'm not over here messing up my community,
Come on.
then what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing, because that's not gonna bring my brother back at all. It may feel good for the moment, just like when you drink, but when it comes down, you're gonna wonder what you did.
That's right. So true.
My family is a peaceful family. My family is God-fearing. Yeah, we upset. But we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna be repetitious. In every case of police brutality, the same thing has been happening. Y'all protest, y'all destroy stuff, and they don't move. You know why they don't move? Because it's not their stuff, it's our stuff. So they want us to destroy our stuff.
Come on, Doc.
They're not gonna move. So let's do this another way. Let's do this another way.
I think Terrence Floyd's message, like you said, Marissa, is very powerful. And we just want to leave what's good with saying, let's do this another way. Let's do this another way. November's around the corner. Vote. It's that simple. And just want to give one last shout out again to all the guests that have joined the Chris Collins Show today. Data scientist Alexander Titus, and strike a chord artist for returning to the Chris Collins Show, Mandi Macias. We love you, fam. And I just wanted to give everybody a little some news, because next week we got some great guests, right, Marissa?
That is right. So who is our guest for next week?
Yeah, we're excited because we got CCS contributor Kevin Drake just in time for sports returning.
Right.
He's with Sports Matters. And we're also excited because we got a New Delhi, India metal band.
Oh my
from
God.
India.
So good.
They slam. And I gotta say, I think this is like the first metal band we've actually had on the show, which is pretty strange because I'm a huge hard rock, heavy metal guy.
Oh, that's
right?
I think I keep
I
bringing
think they are.
fans.
I think they are. So I think this
That's
is really cool. And I'm really excited to be interviewing somebody all the way from India. So we're excited. That is Alien Sky Cult. And Marissa, take it away.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Ciao, Bellas.
Peace.